You can sense the intensity as they await the arrival of the Tennessee team here. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught. It is caught. Jawan Jennings.
McBee's got to fire at the buzzer. Good. Skylar McBee at 3 at the buzzer.
Deep right. And Tennessee walks it off.
From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it.
Pat Summitt has become the winningest coach in college basketball again with a 1,000 win plateau and total.
And for the second time in her brilliant career, Pat Summitt has led Tennessee to back-to-back national championships.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills.
Swing and a miss. And for the first time, Rocky Top reaches the mountaintop of college baseball. They are the World Series champions. Connects way up high.
Touchdown on play number 1.
And here they come.
You can count it down with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the TriStar Network. I am TriStar Tim. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Before we get into this video, I want to give a quick intro. This is the TriStar Network podcast. This is the very first episode of it. Here we're going to talk all things Tennessee sports. We'll obviously talk football during football season, even not during football season. I got a football episode coming up here shortly. We'll talk basketball, baseball, softball. We might even talk some hockey. I'm just a dude who loves all things Tennessee sports, and I want to communicate that with the rest of the world at sea. I appreciate you all for stopping by. Today we've got a special guest for our very first episode. He is the VFL show. He has about 6,000 followers on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it pulled up right now. He is a leader of the TFL, the Twitter Football League. He is the head coach of the Volunteers, the Tennessee Vols TFL League. He has helped me out a lot throughout the first bit of starting this new Twitter account, as well as getting this podcast built. So yeah, let's get him in here. How's it going, VFL?
Yeah, doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. What do you want me to call you for this episode?
Jason.
What is it?
Jason.
Jason. That's right. All right, Jason. How we feel about this first men's basketball, or this Tennessee-Florida game, this bounce-back win?
Feel better now than a couple hours ago. I don't think many of us were really thinking it was gonna be this pleasant, but for Tennessee to bounce back the way they did after the last week and a half of basketball, and especially after what happened in Gainesville, I think is absolutely fantastic for the fan base and for the program.
Absolutely. I don't like throwing around the term must win very often, and I'm not sure if that one was, but it was starting to feel like it there for a minute after. What was it, 3 losses in a row? Vanderbilt, Auburn, Kentucky?
I thought it was 3 out of 4, but it could have been 3 in a row. It's one or the other. Either way, it's not good. I think that if there was a must-win label, it's definitely a must-not-lose. So if that means it's a must-win, which it does, I would classify it under that category, because Rick Barnes after the game said that this was one of the best wins that he's had at Tennessee. He said that. And so for this basketball team to do what they did was absolutely outstanding. I don't think it was not a must win. I think they needed to win, and they did.
It was definitely a not get blown out by 30 again type game.
Yeah, definitely.
Because outside of that first Florida game in Gainesville, where they just walked all over us and we couldn't hit water if we fell out of a boat. Outside of that game, all our losses have been, I believe, within 5 points. They've been very close. A lot of them have been on the road. They all, except Vanderbilt, have been to ranked teams, a lot of which top 15 teams. So this is one of those where even if we didn't win it, if we could keep it within maybe 2-possession game in the end, it may not hurt us too bad. But yeah, it definitely helps to win and to win big like we did.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Vanderbilt could easily be ranked, and they might be ranked on.
They are ranked now.
Well, they're ranked now, but I mean, you know what I mean? They should have probably been ranked before they actually were ranked. You look at some of the teams they've beaten and the magic that they've had in Nashville, it's really, really impressive. This league is going to send 12 or 13 teams. I think Lunardi has 13 teams right now in the field. So it's not, I mean, it's a really tough league. It's not only the best league in basketball, in collegiate basketball, but it's one of the best leagues college basketball wise that the sport has seen in a while. I mean, 13 teams to the tournament potentially is insane. So it's tough to win. It's tough to win in this league. You got to win at home and see how many you could steal on the road. We know this team is going to win or lose a couple more ball games, but they could still be the 2 or 3 seed, and that would be perfectly fine. And I really think that would be beneficial for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at our upcoming schedule right now. Our toughest opponent going forward, well, we got Alabama near the end. That'll be tough. Thankfully, that one's in Knoxville, and we only played them once this year. Other than that, we've got Kentucky on the road again. That's what looks to be our toughest. We have Missouri coming up this week on Wednesday. Later, we have A&M on the road. That one could be tough. And then we've got Ole Miss on the road later as well. But man, that Alabama team.
Yeah, I think with this basketball team, every game is going to be tough, and the reason is because we're dinged up. It was fantastic to see what the team was able to do today without Igor and without Sakai. But you've got to think about it when you've got 7 to 9 guys and that's it, and you really don't, and you don't play them all. I mean, they had to play them all today, but you know what I mean. You're rolling with 7, 8. It's really, really hard in this league. This league is deep, and they're talented, and you have to be able to really use your depth. And Tennessee doesn't have it. So I would agree with your point, but say that every game from now on is going to be really, really hard. It's a gauntlet, and if you're left standing at the end, power to you, because it's tough.
Absolutely. I would hate for us to do this. But if we went, I'm looking at it right now, if we went 50-50 for the rest of the season, I mean, we're still in it for March. Like, it wouldn't be a great seeding, but we're in it for March, and that's when it matters most. We just
right. You just want to get in. Yeah, I mean, you just want to get in, and I think that if Tennessee has a good enough seed in March, what matters is team chemistry, depth, and your matchup, your draw. You know what I mean? So if Tennessee will have the chemistry, they'll probably get a good matchup. The depth is going to be the problem. I think if they could pull anything higher than a 5 seed, if they get the 3 or 4, I think they're really in good shape to make it to the second weekend of the tournament. And I know we're going to talk about that, but that was just a little tidbit from me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I tell you what, JP Estrella and the new Baylor transfer is very missed right now. We could be.
Yes. Yeah, Cam Carr is. I don't understand. Like, I mean, we could probably do you could probably do a whole episode on that. But I don't understand. That's purely wrong people in the wrong ear. And I don't get it. I mean, he would have played a ton. And I know that, hindsight is always, easier to see, but man, JP, that's tough. I mean, that's just really, really bad break, literally and figuratively, but yeah. Cam Carr, I don't understand, and that's really hurting this ball club.
It's hurting us, but I mean, I wonder how much he's regretting it right now, because he'd be getting so much playing time right now, especially Ziegler down, Igor down. Today could have been his day.
Absolutely.
Now he's riding the bench until next season.
I mean, this wouldn't have been the only game either that we've seen since and then thereafter. this Florida game since he left. I think he would have been a factor in a ton of ball games for Tennessee.
Absolutely, he would have. So I want to talk more about today's game specifically. One of the topics I planned on bringing up before this game happened was a potential Chaz Lanier drought that everyone's talking about.
Right.
He kind of sounded a little bit tonight. He dropped, I'm trying to pull it up, I believe he dropped 19 points.
He did. It was 19, 6 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 9 from 3. So,
and I'm going back and I'm looking at his previous games. His highest scoring game was our first SEC game of the year against Arkansas. He scored 29. That was good. Other than that, Gardner Webb, he scored 18. Montana, 19. He only scored 5 against Austin Peay. That was our 4th game of the year. And we didn't really hear much about Chaz Lanier's falling off. He's not who we thought he was because it's the 4th game of the season. No one cares. But 5 points against Austin Peay with 30 minutes in the game is not good. And then he bounced back. He went 26, 25. And he had a couple games in the 20s. But for the most part, it's hovered around 10 to 12. So then when he scores 17 against Vanderbilt, 23 against Mississippi State, 10 versus Auburn, 15 against Kentucky, he's apparently not doing enough, even though that's about what he's done all season against worse competition.
Yeah, I think it's for Chaz. I think he has struggled in SEC play. I mean, obviously it's glaring. I mean, since the Arkansas game, he's had his struggles in terms of shot selection. So he'll put up points, but how many? I mean, what's really interesting is the selection of shots and how many shots it takes to get there. And I think it's the timing of the shot. A lot of Tennessee fans are going to have a problem with when you're down, by 8-10 points, or even when you're down by 3 or 4, and you're not working the offense around the guys that have been, playing well, and Chaz just kind of dials up his own thing. And if it goes in or not, that's fine. But he early in the year, some people were talking about him and DK Dalton Knecht being, maybe similar of a player. There is nobody like Dalton Knecht, not one soul. The fact that man only had 1 year in Knoxville is an absolute travesty. It's robbery. It's highway robbery. It's insane. And if the Pavia ruling would have been earlier, we would have had him for at least another year. But that's, ifs and buts, candy nuts. I understand that. But Chaz has struggled because the SEC is really hard. They've given him some different looks, and he's just not knocking down shots. It's about selection for me. He had a better game today, which is very positive to see. And they needed it. Tennessee needed it, because when you only got 7 guys that you're rolling out there, or 8 today, you really need Chaz Lanier. So I was happy with him today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at some of them right now. It looks like the game where he took the most shots was against Virginia when he scored 26. He seems to take 11, seems to be some of the lower ones, and then 16 is like middle average. And yeah, versus Florida, I mean, obviously nobody was shooting well against Florida. He scored.
No, that was a collective team bad effort.
Yeah, well, he went 3 for 16. So
yeah,
bad just all around. And then even against Kentucky, when he scored 15, he was 5 of 14, meaning he got 5 3. Or no, he didn't get 5 threes. I'm doing my math wrong. But he went 5 of 14. The percentage has dropped quite a bit against SEC play.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. It's not the fact that he puts up 20 or 15. It's the fact that look at the field goal, look at the percentage, look at the shots he takes versus the shots he misses. You know what I mean? Like that's the issue, I think, in SEC play for Chaz.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. He's very talented. I said from the very beginning, I mean, I joked about him being the next DK, so I won't be a hypocrite, but I did say there will never be another Dalton Knecht. And to your point, I don't think we would have.
Early in the year, it looked like it. you know?
It looked like he could. And to your point about Dalton Connect and the Pavia rule, I think he was going to the league either way. He knew he was a first rounder. He should have been a top 10. I don't know how he managed to drop to the Lakers, but boy, I'm glad he did because he's had some games where he's put up numbers with them, and he's surrounded by some elite players that he can train under.
Yeah, he should be in a place like LA. See, Dalton Connect, I mean, if he would have got picked in a lot, you know, in the first 12, 13 picks, he would have been, you know, no offense to the great state of Tennessee, but, you know, being in Memphis isn't sexy. You know what I mean? Being, you know, being in you know, I mean, being in those top 12, 13 teams, you know, that he was projected to, you know, it's not sexy. You know, LA is sexy. So, you know, that's a place you want to be. So I'm glad he fell. I know that a lot of people in Tennessee want him to go to Memphis, and that would have been fantastic, you know, for him to be, you know, in the state. But it's just him being in LA is perfect, you know, and I think he's going to be an absolute star. So
Absolutely is. I was in Germany during the NBA draft, and I stayed up. It was, I want to say, 3 or 4 a.m. trying to watch the draft, and it took forever for them to pick DK. And I was so pissed when Memphis didn't take him. I wasn't an NBA fan going into the season. I just started watching basketball 2 years ago, and it had only been Tennessee basketball up until this year. I was like, all right, whatever team is smart enough to draft Dalton Connect, that's who I'm rooting for. And since then, I've watched all but I think 2 or 3 Lakers games. So
yeah. So I mean, I'm from out west, so we would always where we were. The Laker games were always on. It was Fox Sports Net at the time, and the games were always on because I lived in Southern Nevada. And I watched Kobe. I was 8 years old when Kobe came in the league, and I watched him since his first game, and I watched 20 years of him, and I was always a fan because we didn't have a team, and so that was the closest team. LA was 4.5 hours away by drive. So I've always been a Laker fan. And him going there was just perfect. It was just meant to be.
So today's game, breaking it down, we've talked about some of the positives. Lanier had a pretty good game. He scored 19. I'm looking at him now. Gainey had 16. He was 5 of 13. He scored 1 3-pointer. One of the things I want to bring up is our free throw shooting. It wasn't terrible today. We went 10 of 15. That's not great. 66%.
No. Yeah.
But I've noticed over the last few games, one that everyone's going to point to was against Vanderbilt, Chaz Lanier in the last free throw. I mean, that happens. It sucks that it was saying that happens. But, man.
I get a lot of folks. I've gotten a lot of folks in my mentions about Chaz Lanier. And you know, look, all the kids are getting paid. We understand. All right, so he should be able to hit a free throw. Correct. That's absolutely 100% wrong, and that's not the way it works. You see, because it's a 40-minute ball game. Okay, so one free throw does not decide the outcome of a game. And if you want to look at this is a team game. Okay, me and you and just about everybody else that is within the sound of my voice, or even in this, in this country, a lot of folks can't do that, what he did or did not do. And I don't blame him, because it was a furious comeback to even get to that point. Tennessee's not there unless he's at the charity stripe to even have the chance. They're not there unless Chaz Lanier showed up in the second half. All right?
Absolutely.
Now, that being said, he's had his difficulties. And I'm not going to say he's the best player on earth. He's a really good player. He's still an NBA caliber player. He's got some. There's a lot of time for him to mature this year, and I think that he can really help this team in March. Now, in this game in particular, now I can get off my soapbox about prior Chaz Lanier issues. I think that the free throw shooting for Tennessee was not good. Florida actually shot better from the free throw line than Tennessee did, 74% for the Gators versus 66, like you said, for Tennessee. That's troubling because, we've got to hit a couple more of those than we are. That would be ideal. Obviously, in today's game wasn't needed, but in others, you're going to want that. What I circle is 27% again from the 3-point line. Now, what makes me feel better is Florida was 15% from the 3-point line, 4 of 27 for the Gators. Tennessee went 6 of 22. That's kind of where I'm circling. Another thing I'm circling, points in the paint, 34 to 14 for Tennessee. That right there is is where the game was won and lost. Besides shooting, is points in the paint.
And that's something that's something we haven't really seen over the past few games either. We've been going for so many 3-point shots and missing, and not driving in the paint. And Kentucky, man, they played that well. They left so much space. All 5 of them would be inside the paint, and they would leave everyone on the outside open. And they planned that up perfectly. They forced us to have easy 3-point shots, and it was either make it or don't. We're going to let you shoot it, and then we're going to rebound it and take it the other way and score on you.
Yeah, the Kentucky that game was probably one of the most. Vandy was another one. Auburn was another one. Although I think Tennessee was really showed a lot of people nationally that they could make a run in March off of that Auburn game. Whether they were screwed or not at the end, again, it's just like free throws. At the end, that you have 39 and a half minutes to win the ball game, and that's not the one thing that killed it. It was frustrating, and it probably shouldn't have happened. But the way that they competed on the road against Auburn shows a lot of people something. And so, Vandy and Kentucky were frustrating games. They really, really were. And it's just for Tennessee to come out and play the way they did today was so refreshing. And I think it gives people a platform to jump off of in terms of maybe getting through the next couple of weeks of SEC play with some wins.
I hope for them it's an eye opener to, hey, let's not rely on Zakai Zeigler so much. Let's not strictly play around our leader, basically. Because that's really what they've been doing, especially against the Kentucky game that we were talking about, how everyone was just shooting threes and were missing, and Kentucky was leaving them wide open. Sakai also shot some threes. They weren't really landing. It wasn't the greatest performance by him. But in the second half, when he came back from his injury, he was the main guy driving into the paint, trying to score, because he realized that they just weren't making the deep shots. And I'd like to see more of that from other players. I want them to step up or I guess take a step back and realize what's happening and then act upon it the way Zakai does.
Yeah, see, Zakai is not at his best when he's forcing things.
No.
When he's facilitating and when he's able to distribute and get his shot when he's open and when it's effective, that's when he's at his best. He's more of a distributor. I mean, don't get me wrong. He can take over a game. We've seen it. But, I mean, when he is getting others involved, you know what I mean? Like Igor when he's there and Gainey and, and especially Chaz and, I mean, throwing lobs to Para, who had Felix had a fantastic game. Super to see him do what he did. That's where Zakai is most effective.
I hate to ponder on last year's team, but I'm a straight up Dalton Knecht stan, so I'm gonna keep mentioning him throughout all Tennessee basketball for the next probably 30 years. I think him and Zakai were like one of the perfect combos because DK could throw it down. Zakai would go into the paint. Zakai would draw attention. He'd open it or he'd pass it to an open DK. Like those two work so well. And if Chaz could get the 3-point shooting back to where it was at the start of the season, I could see that happening. Again, not calling Chaz the next DK, but the way those two could work together would be perfect.
Yeah, and I don't want to, circle back. I mean, like you were talking about DK. I don't want to circle back too much, but I mean, myself personally, if we had Felix Okpara last year, I think we would have beat Purdue. That's just that's my feeling. I know that Zach Edey's really tall, but I know also that Felix Okpara is going to block just about everything. If we would have kept him out of foul trouble, I think that we would have beat Purdue. I mean, look, they were calling every call, I mean, they were calling all kinds of crap. We can go down rabbit holes about it, but I think that's how much Felix Okpara really means to this team in the paint defensively.
I don't know. I think he would have done a very good job of blocking for at least the first half, and then he'd probably get fouled out with the way that game was going.
Yeah. I mean, they were calling fouls left and right.
But
so.
that's one thing that I've mentioned before on Twitter is adding Igor and adding Okpara is such a improvement from last year's team. But then missing Connect, it's like I guess kind of equals out, balances out kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, DK is generational in terms of Tennessee basketball. I mean, he really is. There's nobody like. I mean, the program has had really, really good dudes, but I mean, he was on another level, just on another level. I mean, it is really amazing that he was in school 2 years or a year and a half prior to coming to Tennessee. You know, at some, you know, D2 or community college or wherever he was at. You know what I mean? Northern Colorado. Thereafter, he was at, I think, Aurora College in Colorado. Just amazing that Rick Barnes was able to go there and find this guy. I mean, just incredible. Just a pure shooter, can shoot it from wherever. I mean, just smart, just effective, just a really good basketball player.
Yeah, I know he just spent 1 year with us, but there is a part of me that full-heartedly believes number 3 needs to be retired.
I mean, that's kind of it's crazy to think of. You know what I mean? Because when you think of that, you can see a guy like Zakai Ziegler's name being up there in the rafters because he's only one of 2 SEC players to score a certain amount of points, assists, etc. The stats are out there. Right. He is one of 2. I mean, in this great conference's history of basketball. I mean, incredible, right? So, I mean, the year that Dalton Connect had, if this team, I think if this team would have made the Final Four, I think you could have done it. I don't know if you can, and I know it's an individual stats, but it's also a team game. I wouldn't be opposed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I just don't know how much support that would get. But Zakai, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he needs it. I mean, absolutely no disrespect against Boswell when I said that, by the way. He's number 3 right now. But seeing number 3 on the court in orange and it not being DK,
not the same. Yeah, not the same.
It upsets me a little bit.
That's right.
But let's talk about, we talked about the 3-point shooting in the game. What's some other just cons, I guess, from this game that we could take away? Looking at I'll go back to the 3-point shooting real quick just to talk about the difference. The second half of this game, there's hardly anything bad to talk about. It's the first half where we were like, okay, here we go again. We went 2 of 13 from 3-point land, 4 for 9 from free throws, 44% right there. 9 of 31 field goal percentage, 29%. We were rebounding well, had 19 rebounds in the first half, but man, the shooting just wasn't there. And yeah, we still led 24-21 because Florida was just having one of those off nights that we had a couple weeks ago in their stadium.
Yeah, Tennessee scored 40 points in the second half. Really, really incredible. After 24 in the first half, like you mentioned. I think it's the starts. The starts for Tennessee are the problem. I don't know exactly why this is. I think it's more mental than anything. Really, I think it's just about, you know, if you play with your food, you know, you look at the Kentucky game. Perfect example. Tennessee should have, you know, been up in that ball game. The ball game should have been closer. They let Kentucky get whatever the hell they want. They let them get whatever shot they wanted, and Kentucky was making them. And when they were making them, Tennessee still didn't contest them, and they kind of were playing with their food a little bit, like I mentioned. So the starts have to be better. Tennessee was able to get the lead at the end of the half, and that was fantastic for them because they needed a little bit something positive going in the locker room. And then I don't know, whatever Rick Barnes did, whatever foot he used in the backside, whatever he did, it worked. And this team came out in the second half, and they were, you know, a different team. We've seen that in some games this year. 40 minutes of basketball, putting it together is really what it's all about. And I think that that's something that they should really strive to hit. And they're going to have some opportunities coming up to really put 40 minutes in. I mean, the conference is tough, but you know, some games upcoming are going to be a good test for Tennessee to see where they're at. The first half is where this team needs to get better for sure.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about them later, but you bringing that up makes me think of the Lady Vols. That has been an all-season thing for them. Just slow first half, and they've got to fight and claw, tooth, and nail their way back in the second half. And every time,
that's right.
Much like Tennessee has, they just barely come up short.
Yep, that's right.
All right. We started the season off 14-0. We've since gone 4-4. Obviously, all of that has been in SEC play. We are 5-4 in SEC play. What, outside of just SEC, just being better, being harder to play in, what's the biggest issue? Is it the shooting?
Yeah, it's the selection of shots. So I'm not big on, if the 3-point shot isn't working, don't shoot it. Like, I've seen a lot of that on Vol Twitter, and I understand that, but that's not the way that works. What works is, if you're in a slump in anything, like, let's say, you suck at, let's just say for whatever reason you suck at something, but it's something that's vital in your daily life, in your job, in your whatever. You're not going to be able to get away from it. Like, you're going to have to find a way to get better at it. So I think that Tennessee, in order to get out of a slump, you need to keep shooting. But if you're going to do that, you have to supplement these. You have to play good defense like they play, and you've got to make sure that you're able to score enough points while shooting like garbage until you don't. You have to, like, there's a 3-point line there for a reason. And Tennessee has shooters. It was going in early. It's not going in now. So what's the answer? We stop shooting? No, that's the wrong answer. The answer is you keep shooting while scoring in other ways until you get out of a slump. Over the last 4 games now, Tennessee has probably shot about 20 to 25% from 3, roughly in the 20 to 25 for 100 to 105 range, roughly. That's just me, just off the top of my head numbers. And I might be a little off, I might not be, but between 20 and 25% over the course of 4 games is hot garbage. It's not going to win you much, and it hasn't. But again, the SEC is one of the best leagues that college basketball has seen in a long time. A long time. They're going to get 13. How many teams the SEC has? 16?
16.
The SEC is going to get 13 teams, potentially, right now on February 1st. Bracketologists have 13 teams from the SEC going into the NCAA tournament. That's insane.
I think
that's going to cause other leagues pain.
Absolutely. I think it's a mixture of, yes, continue shooting a 3-ball until they fall. They're going to eventually fall. The other issue is we got to get people in the paint, under the rim, ready to rebound. That's something I think we did very well tonight. I think we rebounded well tonight, or this morning. It's not night yet. But we did that well today. Against Kentucky, specifically in the first half, we weren't doing that at all. We just had everyone beyond the 3. No one was getting in the paint. So when we shot the 3 and it didn't fall, we had no second chance to get 2 on majority of the shots.
Yeah. Obviously, it's depth is an issue. Depth is an issue every day, every game. Yeah. Every day until the end of the year, when the last buzzer sounds in whatever tournament game, Tennessee's playing, depth is a problem. It will not be a problem in the future, but that's not where we're at. Where we're at is the 2024-25 season. It is a problem. Shot selection is going to be a problem when they're not falling, and then you've got guys like Zakai who need to take over the game, and that's not where Zakai is strong. He can, but that's not where you want him. You want him being Zakai, being a facilitator, a distributor, shooting when needed, but not running the whole show. When guys like Jordan Gainey show up like he did, that's going to be a tremendous factor in a win. When you've got your post players or a post player playing as well as he did, that's going to be a factor. When Chaz Lanier hits shots, that's going to help. I think it's all about good starts and shot selection. I mean, honestly, right now for Tennessee.
Yep. All right, so I want to talk tournament. One, it's still early. It's the first day of February. If you could make a prediction right now, how far we go in the tournament, what would it be? I'll tell you mine first. If we keep playing the way we are, I see Sweet 16 exit. Do you feel differently?
No, I say Sweet 16 right now,
Yep.
and it is about the matchup because Tennessee can if they get a 3 or a 4 seed, and they're playing certain teams. I mean, it could be like you can't think that it's a cakewalk if you're a team, but if you're Tennessee, but we're not. We're fans, so I mean. I think it would be a cakewalk depending on the matchup to the Sweet 16. Once you get to the Sweet 16 and the teams are like Tennessee and better, Tennessee's not going to, the way they're playing now, they're not going to factor into anything further than that. They could be knocked out in the first weekend. Very possible, but right now I'll stick with you. That's what I was thinking. Sweet 16 for me.
Because this brings me back to last year's tournament, just thinking our round of 32 game was against a tough Texas game. We beat them, what was it, by 4 points, I think?
It was close, man.
It was very close.
It was.
If we get a team like that this year, I don't know. I think we would have to play like we played in the second half today. Or like we played against Arkansas.
Well, you think about it too. If Tennessee gets a 3 or a 4 seed, you're looking at playing the 5 or the 6 if they don't get upset in the round of 32.
Yeah.
So extremely possible. Yeah, and that's something you got to think about for sure.
We had second seed last year, still almost didn't make it to the Sweet 16.
Tough games, man. The tournament is tough. Really, I mean, you can't take. That's where the depth is going to be a problem for me. And if they have a drought. If they have long droughts like they've had at times, that'll be the end.
No, at that point, it's just we gotta hope we can stop them from scoring.
I can also see this team make a run. I don't want to do the half glass full without or half glass empty without the half glass full too. Absolutely. I can see them making a run. It's just we're gonna need to see more the last month of SEC play.
Again, we're going to need to play like we did earlier in the season against better opponents. Our defense is going to have to stay as strong as it is, and we got to hope for a good bracket.
Yep.
If there was one team that you would want to meet in the tournament, not like some easy cakewalk team that's a guaranteed win. Obviously, I'd like to have that all the way to the end. But if there's one team you'd like to meet for just you think it'd be a fun matchup, you think it'd be a good revenge game, who would that be?
Well, I think that there's a lot of teams that are in college basketball that would be a super matchup. Like last year, Tennessee playing Texas was fantastic, right? Because you got the 2 UTs. A fantastic matchup that. Yeah, exactly. The Rick Barnes factor. I mean, that was a big deal. Right away, when I look at teams in college basketball, I mean, I think Houston, super matchup. You know what I mean? Like, I think Houston. Like, I mean, there's a handful of teams, but I'll go Houston, Iowa State. Iowa State is interesting because their head coach. There are some folks out there that believe that Iowa State's head coach could be Tennessee's next head coach. Okay, and I don't buy it, but it's been floated out there, and his name is T.J. Otzelberger, and he is actually Iowa State is like the job he always wanted. So I don't know if he's going to come here. That's kind of because of that matchup. That matchup is because of that factor right there. And then Marquette is another one. So those are teams that I'm looking at, and those are all top 10 teams. So.
I don't know if I have a definitive answer. The first one that comes to mind is just Purdue. They don't have Zach Edey now, and I'd love to get some revenge on them. They talked so much smack after they were – let's be honest, they were kind of – no, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say they were handed a win. We lost by, I think, double digits. I'm not going to say that. But they talked so much smack, and beating them in the tournament would feel so sweet. Another one, this one would be a tough one that I don't want to run into, but if we somehow pull it off, I'd be so happy. Alabama, just because it's Alabama. I would love to, after they got their Final Four last year, I'd love to knock them out of the tournament early.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was going to say Purdue, but then there's no Zach Edey, so it kind of is like, a little bit of it's kind of like it's like cheap for me.
Yeah, well, we also don't have DK, so.
True, but I mean, those people, the fans of that team. There was a lot of talk last year, and I'm not going to say that Tennessee didn't lose that ball game, because they did. There were some questionable calls. The officiating in basketball and football collegiately has been garbage and across the board, just about in every conference for years.
Every sport.
So it's not really surprising. They see Zach Edey, a huge dude, and they're just going to call fouls, but it works both ways. So I mean, I understand where you're coming from with Purdue, which would be another fantastic matchup if Tennessee was able to get to that point and play Purdue again, because they played last year. I think there would be a ton of storylines there. So that's a good one.
Yeah, that was my favorite points. Back to the Zach Edey topic. His first game in the NBA, he got fouled out. It's like, yeah, that's what it should have been like for basically all of the last season.
Yeah, the NBA is different. The NBA is different when it comes to that kind of stuff, and it almost flipped, on him, and he had to learn, and still learning, and will still learn how to use that frame a little lighter, because he's going to get called for stuff. It's different in the NBA. It is.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on to Lady Vols basketball, you have anything else to talk about? Anything worth bringing up right now? No?
No, man. I mean, this is fantastic. This is fun. I'm having a good time. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to do a quick promotion, and then I'll be back to talk Lady Vol hoops with you.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. I appreciate all of you that are still tuned in and watching. I thank you for your support. I plan to keep this thing going for quite some time. And the more people that watch, the more motivated I'll be to do it. And yeah, thank you for helping me out. You want another way to help me out? I got a quick ad read. Before we dive back into the show, I want to take a moment to tell y'all about my partnership with Epic Games. If you guys know who Epic Games is, they have Fortnite, Rocket League, Fall Guys, a lot of the top big games. They are the developers of that. If you like gaming, here's a little something you can do to help me out and what I'm building here that costs you nothing, and I'd really appreciate it. It doesn't add anything to, it doesn't hurt your pocketbook at all. When you're shopping in the Fortnite item shop or making purchases in other games that use supported creator codes, be sure to type in TriStarTim in the supported creators section. By doing that, you're directly supporting this podcast and all the content I create. It is a simple way to show love and keep this thing rolling. So next time you're grabbing some V-Bucks or a legendary skin, remember, TriStarTim, TriStarTim, no dashes, no spaces, capitalization doesn't matter, TriStarTim. Thanks for helping me out, and we will be right back in a couple minutes.
You can sense the intensity as they await the arrival of the Tennessee team here. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught. It is caught. Jawan Jennings.
McBee's got a fire at the buzzer. Good. Skylar McBee at 3 at the buzzer.
Deep right, and Tennessee walks it off. From 40, on the way, a knuckleball. He got it.
Pat Summitt has become the winningest coach in college basketball again with a 1,000 win plateau and total.
And for the second time in her brilliant career, Pat Summitt has led Tennessee to back-to-back national championships.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills.
Swing and a miss. And for the first time, Rocky Top reaches the mountaintop of college baseball. They are the World Series champions. Connects way up high.
Touchdown on play number 1.
And here they come.
You can count it down with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the TriStar Network podcast. We're in the second half of this episode. We talked about the Tennessee-Florida basketball game that was just played this morning and that great home victory that the Vols so desperately needed. And now in the second half, we're going to talk about Lady Vols hoops, Kim Caldwell, and just the perfect team that they're trying to build over there. It has been an incredible bounce back for them. Let's get Jason back on the line. All right, Jason, we're back. How's it going?
I'm still loving life, man.
Still here.
Let's do it.
So real quick, I've been using the solo overlay for this because we don't have a face cam for you, meaning that your socials are not plugged. Would you mind plugging them? Where can people find you at?
Yes. So Twitter/X, whatever you call it now, at the VFL show. On that app, the VFL show.
Awesome.
Come follow me. We got a lot of fun stuff going on, so I appreciate you allowing me to do that.
They've got one fun thing going on that we're going to talk about later. It is the TFL. We're going to talk about that later, though.
Fun stuff, man.
It is fun. You guys are building something special over there.
Yeah, but we need. I know there's folks watching and listening. We need all of y'all's support, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, three-peat. What? So, Lady Vols basketball. Kim Caldwell in her first year taking over. Man, she's done something special over there already.
Yeah, she really has. I was not one of the folks that was really thrilled about when Kelly Harper was let go. I know that there's a whole club of we hate Kelly Harper with the fan base, and I get it because there's expectations, and maybe hiring coaches that were under the Pat Summitt tree of players / coaches, not a good idea. But this has worked out to better than anybody could have expected. I think that there were folks that thought that it would be good. Obviously, Kim Caldwell, having, just a couple of years ago, not even being in this level of collegiate coaching, and then 1 year at Marshall, just unbelievable what she's been able to do on the court, on the recruiting trail for next year. You think this year's team is really, really something. Oh, yeah. And they've struggled, but you think this year's team is something. Check out next year's, because she's got 5 kids in the top 50. She's got 5 stars. 5 stars. And she just got here. She got here. And she's doing what she's doing now, and it's just incredible. I think if you were to ask me in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years.
Oh, he's going to say it.
Which program has the best opportunity to win a national championship?
Say it.
I put that program right there. Like, it might not be one, but in terms of Tennessee athletics, that program's good. This program's going to be something. Not only in the first couple of years, but 3 to 5. I'm telling you, like she's got something cooking, and she's doing amazing. She's struggled in the last few games, but what they've got going on is fantastic.
I've seen some people already make this prediction, and I don't think I disagree with it. It's just one of those that hurts to say. Kim Caldwell will likely win a national championship before Josh Heupel, and that is no hate on Josh Heupel, by the way. I think he's done a fantastic
No, it's not. It's harder to win a national championship in college football. With the way everything is right now, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard in women's basketball, but you look at the handful. If you look at the programs that have won national championships in women's college basketball, it's like if it's not the same ones, it's like a rotation of the same handful. And you know what I mean? And the reason for that is because if you get good and you stay good, look at Pat Summitt, and I know the game has changed, but if you get good and you stay good, you're in that conversation every year. In college football, you're in the conversation, but it's really hard to do. Like Ryan Day did it, and he's been there for 7-8 years. It's hard. It's hard. So, I'm not comparing this woman to Pat Summitt. It could happen.
Not yet.
There is the ability, but it's too soon. But what she has going on, and the trajectory in 3 to 5, 7, 10, depending on how long she stays, man, it could be really good.
I will say this is taking nothing away from Pat Summitt. She is a legendary coach and deserves all the respect in the world. But she really benefited from Tennessee being one of the first states to sanction women's basketball. And she had a lot of high talent high school recruits coming out of Tennessee that were just easy for her to get. Again, taking nothing away from her. It doesn't matter how many good players you get. If you're not a good coach, you're not going to win the whole thing, especially not 8 times. So it's not taking anything away from her, but she really benefited from that. And I think Kim Caldwell, with the path she's on, she's not the next Pat Summitt. I don't think she's bringing 8 national championships to Tennessee. But I do think she's going to bring some, and there is a very, very bright future for this team.
Let me say, Gino Auriemma, Muffet McGraw, Don Staley would not be what they were without Pat Summitt. And I include Gino Auriemma because Pat Summitt needed a rival. She was winning natties. And he came along, and he's been amazing, obviously, at the University of Connecticut. But you don't get all this without Pat Summitt. And I'm not just saying it because it's Tennessee related, and I love Tennessee. You don't get women's basketball. They're trying to there's a run to put a WNBA team in Nashville called the Tennessee Summit.
No, I was just
because of Pat Summitt. In Nashville, not Knoxville, not Memphis, Nashville. All right. Yeah. I mean, seriously, you don't get all these things without Pat Summitt. And I didn't mean to get to your point a little earlier, but I couldn't help, without saying that. But Kim, back to the point, Kim Caldwell is going to be fantastic and just fine. Danny White brought her in, let her cook, let her do what she's got to do. She's going to be just fine.
I'll tell you what, the people funding that basketball team, Tennessee Summit, that's such a good group to have. You got Peyton Manning in there. You got let me pull it up. It's Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are 2 of the other ones.
Yes. Candace Parker is another one.
And then the former governor.
Haslam. Haslam is the name.
He's a great funder for us as well.
Yeah, if you don't get if you don't get anything else, if folks don't get anything else, the name Haslam is really important. And I know that there's some Tennessee folks that maybe might not care for that name because of some of the stuff that he might have got into the Haslam family with football years and years ago. But that name is super important. And having Candace Parker and Peyton Manning and, and all those other names is wonderful. I think that's going to be a great bid for the league, for the sport.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up with this Lady Vols team is kind of the, same path they're going down as the men's. Men started the season off 14-0 and have since gone 4-4, with all 4 of those losses being in conference play. The Lady Vols started 13-0 and have since gone 2-5, which is worse. But again, it's in conference play. SEC isn't just dominant in football and dominant in men's basketball. They are also very dominant in women's basketball. I know UConn kind of holds the top or whatever, but man, SEC in all sports is on top right now.
Yeah, so the SEC women's college basketball, the SEC in women's basketball is going to get a lot of teams in. I don't know if they're going to get as many as the men's, but it's not going to be far off. They're going to get a lot of teams in the tournament too. It's a great league. It's a tough league. Just like in men's, you could say the same thing for women's basketball in the SEC.
Yeah.
What I will say about this program that Kim Caldwell's building is they got a lot of bright stars. They got a lot of good kids. What they do is they miss a lot of layups, and they miss a lot of bunnies. They miss a lot of easy shots. I remember the last handful of games just kind of watching and just they'd miss an easy shot, and I'd just be like, God, man, you know what I mean? Goodness gracious, the amount of layups and easy shots within the painted area is so frustrating. And I don't know if they would have amounted to wins versus losses, but I mean, you really could say that it would have been a little bit different. Life in the SEC is tough. It's tough in football. It's tough in basketball. It's tough in baseball. It's tough in women's basketball. It's really hard. Making free throws, making your easy shots is really going to help this team. And also shot selection. Sometimes I'm seeing, some of these, some of these young ladies just chucking up shots from beyond the 3-point line, and warranted or not, Kim Caldwell's got a system. And if you're gonna work within it and play within it, I think they're much better off. Tennessee's gonna take some losses. Yep. They're gonna take some more losses. They're a tournament team. They might be a 7 seed, 6, 7, 8 seed. They might be, and that's okay. I think get into the tournament. I mean, do they win a game? Maybe they win 2. Kelly Harper went to Sweet 16s, and I was told that wasn't good enough. But Kelly Harper was here for a handful of years. Yeah. So, make the tournament in the first year, and I think everything will be, kind of progress up from there.
I mean, Kim Caldwell hasn't missed a tournament since she's coached college basketball, which is insane to think about, seeing as the schools that she's coached.
I think she has a D2 national championship. Am I correct? Yep. I believe she does.
You are correct.
That's incredible. And just a couple of years ago, and now doing what she's doing in Knoxville. I mean, there's not really many better jobs either for her to leave. So if you leave her here and let her do her thing, she'll be fine.
Yeah. And people really thought that she was hired for her looks, as if Danny White is that dumb.
She's a good-looking woman, but she also has everything in between the ears to coach a team.
Yep.
I mean, amazing.
Dude, I tell you what, playing or coaching a basketball game just a few days before giving birth, and coaching another basketball game just 7 days after giving birth, she is a monster. She's an absolute beast.
Women have the strength of 10 men. And I have 2 kids, and my wife is the strongest woman I know. And any woman that any one of us is lucky enough to that will associate with us, that will marry us, that will be with us, and they're strong. They're stronger than anybody. And she gave birth, and she was back, back at practice less than a week after, coaching in a game a week after. I mean, that's giving your all. You look at the stories about Pat Summitt. Pat Summitt wasn't going to deliver a baby until she was in the state of Tennessee, until she was in Knoxville. All right? She was not, and she held it. And that, I can't imagine that. Women are amazing. They have the strength of more than 10 men. But she's given her all for Tennessee. And I'm just so many words. So many, there's some words I can't give. It's just amazing.
Yeah, my wife is currently carrying her first. She's about 5 months in, and it's a girl. So pray for me.
Yeah, I will, brother. My first was a girl, so
yeah,
I will.
I'll be honest. I was hoping that my first would be a boy, to have that, like, older brother mentality, protect his little sister in the future. But yeah, it's a girl. So.
Oh, the older sisters can hold their own, man.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm gonna make
She'll hold her own. She'll be just fine.
But yeah, so this team started 13-0, have since gone 2-5. They are 3-5 in conference play. Yeah, you were talking about the under the basket shots not going down. I noticed that during the South Carolina game that they were bouncing. I didn't really. I mean, maybe during the Texas game. I don't remember too much of that game, to be honest. It was a while ago. It was like a week ago. Yeah, it's really,
and I don't know what I had for breakfast, man. You know what I mean? So I understand.
It's really the same issue for me. It's the same issue the men are having. They're shooting a lot of 3-point shots, and they're just not making them. Now, I will say, I think our Lady Vols are rebounding those 3-point shots better than the men have been. But it's just a bunch of wide open threes that just aren't sinking. And again, I agree with you. If the shot's there, take it. Don't pass up on a 3-point shot, an easy 3-point shot. But at some point, we just got to hit them.
Yeah. The men and women right now in Tennessee's basketball programs are mirrors of one another.
Yeah.
They're basically the same. Just shot selection, and just for the love of anything holy, please just make layups. It's been happening for majority of SEC play. I'm not going to say every SEC game, but man, it's been happening. It's just, you don't got to, when you put it up there on the glass and the rim, you ain't got to put it up so darn hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, really, they're somebody, I forget who it was, shot a layup so hard it didn't even, it bounced off the backboard, didn't even hit the rim. I think it missed the rim by 2 feet. That's the point. Yeah. You just gotta throw it up there. Just spin it light. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, the programs are really looking at one another saying, goodness, if we just do the same things, we're going to be in a lot better position.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up the layup thing, saying that we missed a lot. Hey, LSU missed a lot of layups, and they won a national champion. But Angel Reese also got 20 rebounds per game by getting her own layup. So, again, we just got to rebound it.
That's right. That's right. One of the most important stats is rebounding.
Yep.
Because shots are missed all game, but if you don't get the rebound, now it's not so much offensively. Offensive rebounds are fantastic, but you want to get the defensive rebound, because if you're allowing them, you're allowing second and third chances. Forget it, because in the SEC you're going to get burned, and so rebounding super important. And the ladies have been good at it. The Lady Vols have been good. They need to get better in that aspect too.
That's fair. I was going to say the opposite, that I think offensive rebounds may be important so you can get those second point shots. But yeah, you're right too. It goes both ways.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, because you want to get the extra opportunity, but if you're allowing the extra opportunity, you're hurting yourself. It's a balance. You want to get those extra rebounds, but you got to secure the ball on the defensive end and get it pushed to, past half court, and set up your offense.
So speaking of Kim Caldwell and Kelly Harper, the just style of play is one of the biggest shifts that we've seen. We are so fast paced this year and moving the ball, getting down there. We have full court pressure going. Like, we're forcing, the other team isn't getting the ball to our side of the court until there's almost single digit seconds left on the shot clock. Like 10 seconds left, and now they're just now getting it to their side of the court. And that really helps us a lot of times, but then other times we go too much full court pressure and we leave the other side open and they just lob it over for an easy layup. So it's like, I don't know, what do you think of that and the full court pressure that the Lady Vols do?
I love the press. I love the pressure. I've always been a fan of full court press. The issue is on the backside. Like you were talking about, you've got to make sure that once that press is broken at half court, you've got to get back to your assignment. You've got to get back to your area. Otherwise, you're going to allow those. And we've seen that a lot. I would almost like to see maybe more of like a quick press and then fall back. So at least you're keeping them honest. You're making them have to work a little bit to get to half court, but then you got to fall back and you got to get back in your spot. So I'm a fan of the press, but it's got to be used in the right way.
I'm trying to think.
I think that for the
Sorry, you can go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So I'm trying to think back. There's one specific game where I saw that a lot. I want to say it was LSU, or maybe it was Vanderbilt, maybe a mix of the two, where they were just, the opposing team was just taking advantage of that. They would get the full court press going, and then they would just lob it over all their heads to one open player on the other side for an easy layup. I want to say that was LSU.
I think you're right, and that's the problem with the press, is that when, because, a lot of times you'll have, when another team sees the press, they'll end up putting some of those big bodies down there at the other end, so you could just throw it over. That's a lot of times what happens. So you've got to know that that's there, and just adjust to it. I just think it's just as simple as fine-tuning a couple things for the Lady Vols, and then just, life in the SEC is hard. They're going to take their lumps, but the substance to what's there and what Kim Caldwell and her staff are building is so amazing. I'm super excited. It's one of the sports, besides obviously, you have football, basketball, baseball, but Lady Vol basketball, that's one that should be at the top of the excitement list because I think this program is going to be good for a long time.
Absolutely. It's hard not to put baseball up there just because of the season they're coming off of. But I think right behind baseball probably is Lady Vols in terms of future and what they got building. Maybe football, making it to the playoffs this year was nice. But man, Kim is doing such a fantastic job. This entire athletics department, I could talk about Tennessee athletics as a whole for days on end. That is exactly why I started this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, the job that Danny White has done and being able to pull not only a program, but a university out of really depths of despair in a lot of different ways is unreal. Best AD in the country.
Yeah, he gets some flack online, but so does everyone else. So.
Yeah, man. Eggs are $10. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes prices rise. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
Oh, I think
you don't have to pay. You know, I mean, I'm not a fan of price hikes in any way, but supply and demand. I mean, what's going on at the University of Tennessee will not come without price increases, and I know it's a lot. I get it, but you've got to make money. And it's a business, and he's doing all the right things, whether people like it or not.
Absolutely. Who out of our Lady Vols roster, who stands out most to you?
Ruby Whitehorn.
Same thing.
And I know that we kind of had a little bit discussion prior, but I mean. How far does this team go, without a Ruby Whitehorn? I mean, how many wins does the team have without a Ruby Whitehorn? How much would they miss her if they did not have her? I mean, 13.5 points a game, almost 5 rebounds a game. I mean, you look at her stats in the minutes that, she played, only 27 minutes against South Carolina, 29 minutes against Texas, but 12 points against South Carolina, 21 points. She had 20 points against Mississippi State, 17 against Arkansas. I mean, and so on and so on and so on. So, I mean, I think, there are so many good players, on this Tennessee, women's roster, this Tennessee women's basketball team. But if there's one, that you would point to, I think it's her. I mean, Jules Spear, Samara Spencer, Z Spearman. For me, it's Ruby.
Yeah, part of me feels like she has gotten better in SEC play than she was before it. I mean, her first 20-point game came against Mississippi State. Her second one came against Texas. Yeah, I mean, she had some close ones. She had 18 against UTM at the start of the season, but that's UT Martin. Like, people are going to score against them. Her best game so far, outside of Vanderbilt, where she only got 8, outside of that game, her best games have come in SEC play, and that is the exact type of player we need. Those that turn it up when the fire's the hottest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think that, there's been a number of good players, but Ruby Whitehorn stands out to me. I appreciate her game. Being one of the team leaders, just being able to facilitate, what Kim Caldwell is trying to do out there, makes her special. And I'm really glad she's a part of this team. And I think that there's going to be, her being a junior, another year of eligibility. If she comes back, I hope she does.
I hope she does as well. You were talking about what Kim Caldwell is doing over there. Sorry, I'm trying to look something up right now. That brings me to recruiting. She had a line. I'm trying to look it up right now. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the lines of it upsets her when everyone tells her you got to get your own players. Like soon she's got some phenomenal recruits, as I believe. I don't remember if we talked about that before the podcast happened or during it, but she has some good recruits on the way. And people are saying once you have your own players, it'll be different. Like, you'll be able to play the way you want to play, and that upset her. She said, "These are my players. I don't care that I'm not the one who recruited them. These are my players, and I want this for them. I want to win for them." And that, I mean, you can't. As a player, I can't think of anything your coach could say that would have you feeling better than that.
No, there's nothing that, I mean, there's nothing better than that. When you're a coach or a part of a team, that's your team. Those are your kids. Those are your guys. Those are your girls. Those are your whatever. It doesn't matter. When you come in, those are your folks. And so that's a part of the narrative. That's part of the game. That's part of the culture. I mean, the culture that Kim Caldwell has created, you know, it's just like Josh Heupels. It's just like Rick Barnes. It's just like Tony Vitello. It's the same. You are my dude. You are my girl. If we're in this together, we're all a part of the same team. And so it's ridiculous to think that they're not her, you know, recruits or kids that are already on the team are not a coaches because she wasn't there recruiting them. You have to re-recruit them. She had to re-recruit these kids. Kids decommitted and kids left. And this is every coaching staff when there's changes, but there were defections because for that exact same reason. So you have to re-recruit them. And she did that. And she was able to put together a team that's been, they've had their issues at times. But first year coach, a lot of people didn't really care for Kelly Harper. They were sick of the same old message. And, you know, I think that Tennessee has gotten what they've needed. And there is a lot, like I've said, substance to this program.
Yeah, this is from Kim Caldwell. I get a little bit offended by you have time to rebuild. These seniors aren't your players. They are my players. Those were her exact words. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I understand why people say it because, yes, she didn't have time to go hit the recruiting trail and really get the players that would best fit her team. But, I mean, she's absolutely right. These are her players. She's the coach. Like,
I mean, you want to talk about, you know, folks want to talk about, well, these are not your players. Let's talk about who's going to be her player, right? She got the third best player in the state of Florida, the sixth best player nationally in Denia Prawl, right? She got Jada Civil. I mean, fourth best player in the state of Florida, best at her position, right? The Paldo kids, right? 1 and 2 in the state of New Jersey, top 50, both of them. Lauren Hurst, best player in the state of Tennessee. I mean, you know, proof in pudding, right there, right there.
So,
is that?
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, just proof in the pudding, right there, that those are not only her kids, but her kids who are here. And she's going to make everybody a priority because if you're here for Tennessee, you're giving your all. You're a Vol. That's it. No questions.
Yeah, to bounce back off that and to give the star ratings, at point guard, the 3 that she got was 5-star Mia. I'm sorry. Is it Paldo? How did you
Paldo.
say?
It's
Paldo.
me
Okay.
and Maya. Yeah, me and Maya Paldo. Yep.
At point guard, she got 5-star Mia Paldo, 4-star Jada Civil, 4-star Maya Paldo. Those are the Paldo twins. I don't know if you know this. They actually have some YouTube videos on Overtime of them playing basketball together in high school.
Yeah, I peeked at a couple.
Those.
That's I mean, those are something else.
Yeah,
those kids are going to be really good.
And at power forward, as you mentioned, we got 4-star Lauren Hurst, and at small forward, we got 4-star Denia Prawl. Kim Caldwell, in her first year at Tennessee, first year as an SEC head coach, has the number 2 recruiting class in women's basketball.
The ink hadn't even dried on the contract and the bags weren't even unpacked and she's already recruiting. Absolutely. I mean, within the first couple of months of getting the job, she's nailing these kids with their commitments. I mean, what more do you need as a fan? I mean, hop on the train now. I mean, it's there's seats available. Get on there. I mean, in a couple years, if it takes that long, this program's going to be unbelievable.
So some facts about these kids. 5-star Mia Pardo that she got ranked number 8 in the country, just not at her position, just as a female women's basketball player. Ranked number 8 by World Exposure Report. Ranked number 11 by ESPN. A top 10 talent, basically. Top 15, if you want to be generous. To
being recruited, being recruited by all these different coaches and saying yes to Tennessee, a first-year head coach, you know what I mean, over all these other programs recruiting her, unbelievable.
It's not even that she's getting lucky with these recruits. It's not like these are instinct talent. The only one from Tennessee was 4-star Lauren Hurst, the guard. She's from Cleveland, Tennessee, Cleveland High School. She's ranked 38 in the nation by World Exposure Report, 42 by ESPN, 47 by Blue Star Basketball, 50 by 247. So she's a top 50 player from Tennessee, and that's the only one from Tennessee. The other, we have 2 from Florida and 2 from New Jersey. Obviously, the 2 twins are from New Jersey. She is going all over the country recruiting top talent. These aren't easy gets.
No, it isn't. It's not easy. It's not easy to compete against all these top level programs, and then you've got to defend the fact that you're new and why should I come there and why should I visit and okay, I'll come for a visit, but why should I commit? Kim Caldwell lays out the plan. And she tells the kids exactly what they're going to be there, how they're going to factor in, what they can do, playing time, just being honest. Because, I mean, you can't lie. I mean, the questions come up. Well, there's one ball and there's all these players. How am I going to factor in? She's got to sit there and she's got to answer these things. And the kids love what they're hearing. Why not come to Knoxville and be a part of something great? And that is just within a few months of putting your bags down after being in D2 the year before last. Can't say enough. Unbelievable.
Now, we can't talk about this without mentioning NIL. I assume we are giving these girls a bag, and that's absolutely fair.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely fair. Every other sport is doing it. I don't know if we gave the biggest bag to them. Maybe there were other schools that gave bigger bags and we just out-recruited. I don't know exactly how that went. I really don't care to know as long as we're getting elite talent. But nonetheless, like you were just talking about, first-year head coach at an SEC team. Now, granted, it is the most historical women's basketball team, period, not even SEC. So there's that factor. But being able to get recruits, top recruits from all over the country in your first year. I don't care how much money you're giving them. That is a level of trust she is building early on with these players.
Yeah, and that's what it takes to recruit them. Anybody can throw money at somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, why don't you just come here? We'll throw money at you. You know what I mean? You don't got to do anything. Just sit on the bench. You know what I mean? We'll call you when we need you, and we'll hand you a bag. You're a 4 or 5 star. You're a top 50 talent. Come here because we are us. That doesn't work. You have to build a relationship. And a lot of times you've got to do it in a short amount of time. And she's been able to do it. And now that you are able to get those kids in the fold, what about 26? What about 27 going forward after 2025? I mean, it shows that you can recruit. Well, what is going on there in Knoxville? I want to be a part of it. I mean, they got 4 or 5 top 50 kids. I want to be a part of that, Yep. So, yeah, no, it's a long time coming, but it's going to be here for a long time.
Oh, and I just realized, going back, I said Denia Prawl was from Florida. She went to high school in Florida. She's from Toronto, Canada. So
right.
We got a Canadian player with us as well. So
that's right.
She's not even just going all over the country.
International
She's
like
going,
that.
Yeah.
You get international with it. You know what I mean? Like that's super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, she's just done a phenomenal job.
Yep.
Speaking of these recruits, so I talked about all 5 of the recruits we got. Specifically, I mean, we have the Paldo twins. You can do all the research in the world about them. You can go watch videos on YouTube about them. I watched, I think, 2 of them. But one that I want to talk about is Jada Civil. She's a 4-star. I believe she has potential to be a 5-star from what I've seen and from what I've read. And Kim Caldwell seems to think the same thing. She released comments about all the players that she had commit to Tennessee, all the players that signed to Tennessee. The comments she left on Jada Civil stuck out the most to me. She said, "From the moment I saw Jada play, I wanted to coach her. She is perfect for our style of play. She is a great full court defender and can score from anywhere on the floor. She has an aggressive mindset that will instantly make us better." You want to talk about everything that we need right now and everything that we've talked about this entire podcast. Full court defense. We talked about that for a minute. Scoring anywhere on the floor. We talked about how they were missing layups and how they're shooting a lot of threes that aren't going in. Has an aggressive mindset. We talked about how Kim Caldwell's style play is so much different than previous years of Lady Vols. Like, this is the exact type of player we wanted.
Yep. McDonald's All-American. Top 15 24/7 player sports ranking. The number 1 small forward in Florida and the 4th best player in Florida. Nothing speaks more about the comment, about this, this young lady than the comments that were made and the game that she plays. And she's going to be a tremendous asset to this team next year.
The only ranking system I found that didn't put her as a top 20 players, ESPN, somehow they got her down at 32.
That's not shocking. That's not shocking. They need to stop doing recruiting rankings, because they're no good at it.
That goes for every sport too, football.
That's right.
Basketball.
That's right.
But ASGR.
I mean, it wasn't just one sport. They're not good at any of it.
ASGR has her at 20. World Exposure Report has her at 20. ProspectsNation.com has her at 19, and 247 Sports has her at 13. So top 15 according to 247, top 20 according to everyone but ESPN, which is just about everyone that their rating system matters. And you brought it up about Jada Civil, about being McDonald's All-American. 3 out of our 5 commits or signees now were McDonald's All-Americans. Mia Paldo and Denia Prawl were the other 2.
I mean, to be able to pull McDonald's All-Americans in your first few months of recruiting, I mean, less than a year just who does that? Yeah, I mean, nobody knows how good these kids are going to be, but the fact that they're coming to your program, to your university, speaks so much about Kim Caldwell and staff.
Yeah, I think from the very first press conference that Kim Caldwell was a part of when she was hired, I knew she was a perfect fit. In her first press conference, I mean, she brought humor to it. She thanked everyone that helped her in the past. But one of the things that were brought to my attention, everyone was trying to teach her about the history of Lady Vols and everything. And she's like, first off, one of the things that I don't need any history or any teaching on is Pat Summitt's legacy. Like, everyone knows who Pat Summitt is. Kim Caldwell knows who Pat Summitt is. And one of the things she said is, I don't want to be the next Pat Summitt. It's not my plan to be the next Pat Summitt of the Lady Vols. It will never happen. I plan to be the person that if Pat Summitt was here today, she would be proud of me every time I step on the court. I'm paraphrasing, but along the lines, that's what she said. That is the exact type of coach we need. She's not part of the Pat Summitt legacy like you were talking about. But
yeah, the tree, the umbrella of Pat Summitt is really like there's a lot of branches to it. There's a lot of branches on those trees, and sometimes they fall and they hit you in the head and they hurt. And I think that's not saying nothing negative about Pat Summitt or what she did at Tennessee, but sometimes you got to venture out. And what they picked the perfect candidate. I can't wait to see what they do the rest of the year. I mean, it really is going to be something to watch.
Absolutely. Before we get into TFL talk, you got anything else you want to bring up? Anything?
No, man.
Lady
No,
Vols?
this has been this has been. I mean, that just about covers it. I mean, get on the train and board it now because that program's going somewhere. Man, having a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you having me.
I said it last year. I'll say it again this year. I'm glad I can finally say it. It is so great to be a Tennessee Vol right now.
That's right.
After
all Vol, every sport.
I got kind of lucky. I didn't really start keeping up with any Tennessee sports until 2016. The very first game that I watched, again, I got so lucky, was Tennessee versus Georgia 2016. That was the first football game I watched, and I was instantly hooked. Or it was the first Tennessee Vols football game I watched.
Yep.
And I was
the Dobb nailed. Yeah. The last time Tennessee beat Georgia.
I've got it in my stream intro. That play, I rewatched it. So I'll give a quick story on it. We were headed to the beach that year. I grew up super poor, so in my family. But I went with some family friends who every year they rent out a beach. I still try to go with them as often as I can. And we were on the way there listening to it on the radio the whole time. At the very end, so right when Georgia scored with, what was it? How much? I don't even remember how much time was left on the clock. Seconds.
There was not much. Was not much.
Well, I know when the Hail Mary was thrown, there was 4 seconds left, but I think there was a kick return before that, so maybe a little bit more time. I don't remember. Seconds left on the clock. When that happened, we were pulling into the driveway of the beach house. When that happened, we turned it off. We were like, well, there that goes. We lost. It was a 3-floor house, and then it's at the beach, so it's got like an entire open area because it's up on the stilts, so that way when it floods, obviously water doesn't go crashing into the house. So it's basically 4 levels. One of the guys that was with us was on the top floor. I was down at the bottom in the driveway unloading the car. I heard him yelling, "We won, we won." I was like, there is no way. I rewatched that clip about 40 times that week.
Yeah, nobody would have. I mean, honestly, there were probably not many people thinking that Tennessee would win, so it was amazing.
No, and since that day, I was hooked.
Amazing.
And that was football. I just started watching basketball 2 years ago. Started watching baseball. I started watching baseball 2 years ago. Last year was the first year I actually kept up with it, and we freaking won the Natty. So I didn't go through as much of the decade of despair, decade of dysfunction, decade of depression that everyone went through. I was there for bits of it. I was there for Jeremy Pruitt. Man, it is so good. The place that I don't even want to say this program, this entire athletics department is at. You couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's in a good spot. It's a great time to be a Vol.
All right,
no doubt.
And with that, first off, I want to thank everyone that's still tuned in and listening to us ramble. TFL, Twitter Football League. Give us a brief, summary of what this is and what you guys are building.
So essentially, it's a Twitter voting league. So this idea was thought of maybe about a year ago. This is the 3rd season. We're in season 3 now. The preseason kickoff classic just ended. I was the 4th person approached by the previous commissioner. He asked me if I would be interested in being the Tennessee rep. They're called head coaches. And I said, sure. The league started, and it was just a poll. It was just a Twitter poll. And it was going well. And there was a hiatus during the first season because of cheating. Some cheating scandals that had happened. And so it was put on a brief hold, but then we were able, the commissioner was able to come up with a safer way to complete games to where if there was any cheating, any vote buying, any like buying, which you can do, it's kind of ridiculous to think that somebody could spend money on likes, which boosts the commissioner's, basically puts money in the commissioner's pocket, because if you have verified Twitter accounts, they're getting paid for, when you interact. So if you're going to buy votes, you're just putting money in their pocket. He found a way, the original commissioner found a way to make the games to where if there was vote buying, he would be able to know, and the team would be penalized. So the first season, about halfway through, was resumed. Long story shorter, because I could probably go on forever, is that Tennessee has not lost a game in the regular season. We have to say that now of the TFL. Tennessee is, I believe there's been a roughly 30 something games, and regular season Tennessee has not lost. We just took our first defeat, if you want to call it that, in a preseason kickoff classic, which is not recorded, but everybody saw it. And Virginia Tech, who we beat in season 1 in the title game, beat us. They have a new staff. They are very good. If you followed the league, they are like Florida last year. Florida was an absolute monster, and we beat them, Tennessee did, in the season 2 finale, in season 2 title game. So Tennessee has 2 national championships in TFL, which I know it doesn't mean much to a lot of folks. All right, it might be ridiculous, but in terms of pride, fan base, giving your all for Tennessee on this app, which we do, we pride ourselves in not losing Twitter polls. That's pretty darn good. So the season will start in 2 weeks. There will be a week 0 game, which is like a preseason game, on February 13th, again against Northwestern, and then February 20th, the season will start. The season will start with matchups against old foes from last year, and I know that you're going to play the schedule hype video reveal, so I won't give away too much. But there will be rematches against teams that we played last year, teams that were pains in our backsides, and that took us to the limit. And this team, our team, is nothing without each and every one of the folks that like it, that support us. I can't do it without you guys. And it's not the end all be all. It's fun. You know, like, I took a loss, technically, if you want to call it that way, and it was the first time that we hadn't won. And it was, tough, but I was proud because we always compete. We're always right there. We're Tennessee Vols. It's what we do. The other team had a better day, and that's okay. It happens.
Yep.
But, it's not getting to the top that's hard. It's staying at the top. And so everybody listening, everybody watching out there, we need your all, like you have been, like most of you have been. We need it. And the season will start in a couple weeks, and that's pretty much the long roundabout story of the TFL. It's just a Twitter voting league, but it's something that we've built, all of us together, and I'm proud of everybody.
All right. Awesome. But all right, before we show the trailer reveal, I do want to mention a few things I forgot to mention earlier regarding Tennessee basketball. We're coming right back to TFL, I swear. We broke 2 records today. One of them I just found out about. The other one I knew earlier and forgot to mention. One I knew earlier, this is Tennessee's largest win over an AP top 5 team in school history. 20-point win over Florida, ranked number 5 in the AP poll. So that's
amazing.
That's
amazing.
A pretty good record to beat. And then,
and it was a whooping too, so that was good.
Up 20 points. Not quite 30 they beat us by, but hey, a win's a win's a win.
But a win's a win. That's right.
Yeah.
A win's a win.
And then the other one, this was posted by Tennessee basketball Twitter account, Vol_hoops. They ran our home win streak over top 5 opponents to 6, a new SEC record per ESPN. We are 6-0 at home against AP top 5 teams. So there's another one. Interesting things to keep track of.
This team is really good. Yeah, for sure. This team is really good at home. They haven't had a subpar SEC. They haven't been under 500 in SEC play in 2 years, since January 23. So
people think
this team's really good at home. I mean, they're really good at home. So I mean, these stats are amazing, and we got to keep seeing more of it. But I mean, they've been doing fantastic at home.
Yeah, I find it absolutely bizarre. People think coaches like Rick Barnes and Josh Heupel on the hot seat. It's just not a thing. It's not there.
Folks want their hard-earned money to go to what they want their hard-earned money to go to, and it's a group like a team, like a basketball team. The athletic department is a team, and that's not, I know that everybody. I'm not telling anybody how to fan, but everybody fans differently, and the way that, some people don't like the way that Josh Heupel operates in big games, and Rick Barnes, regular season Rick, you know what I mean, and I get it, I get it, but let the sports people who get paid a lot more than us, let them do their jobs, because they're doing a fantastic job. So. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we were talking about how it's one of the best times we had Tennessee Vol. I don't know how you can go through. Again, I only got a small glimpse of that decade of dysfunction, but I don't know how those who did sit through that decade aren't happy right now. I don't know how. I don't get it.
I know you'll talk about more football with the next guest that you have, but I think 2022 came a little early, and I think it spoiled some folks. So now when you sunshine pump, you're kind of a jerk, but it's not the truth. You know what I mean? Like, just staying on topic, what you said is 100% true. The best time is now to be at Tennessee Bowl, and we're all lucky.
I think you're correct in the fans' eyes that 2022 came too early. It was like just that glimpse of, oh my gosh, we got double-digit win season. We beat Alabama. We're one game away from making the playoffs. Like, yeah, it came early. In the sense of the team, I think that was the best thing that ever could have happened. Once you find, this is with every team throughout college football, once you find that quarterback that just like puts his name out there, that's when the recruits start flowing. They're like, oh, either I want to play with this guy, I want to play after this guy, like I want to be on the bench behind him, whatever it is. I think once you get that one quarterback that sparks something with your team, that's when the recruits start coming, and that's exactly what we got with Hendon Hooker. He was that spark that got everything else going, and that's exactly what we needed that year.
That's right. That's absolutely 100% correct. I mean, it's a great time to be a Vol. Can't say it enough.
But TFL, I got that trailer ready to go. I will not be able to hear it. You will not be able to hear it. You've already seen it. If you want to go ahead and tweet it out, go ahead. I'm about to jump in it and start playing it for everyone else.
Yeah, so from my account at the VFL show, I'm going to tweet it out at the same time as you're playing it. So.
All right. Y'all watch this real quick. We'll be right back after. This is very important. I worked on this video. I did all the editing for this video. I was honored to be asked by by Jason, the VFL show on Twitter, to make this video. So I hope y'all enjoy it. If not, someone else made it. I didn't do it.
How epic would a 3-peat be?
It would be epic.
3-peat.
Can't stop, won't stop. Where the brakes at? I give him that ditty bop. Like, take that, take that, take that, take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap. But it say, don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? I feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that black boulder like Kobe in Toronto, huh? Driving 81. Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Tryna say my name is Minio. Say it with me, Minio. Okay, great. 2 forks high, raise the stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team, get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe, nah. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me.
I had to get my mic unmuted. There we go. So that was the TFL schedule reveal. Be prepared. Season kicks off. Let me unmute this. All right. What is, because I don't have time to go look for it, what is the official day of the preseason game as well as week 1 game?
Yeah, so preseason will be February 13th, and that will be against Northwestern. And then the regular season kicks off against Florida. It's a rematch of the national title game. Their staff is different, so we don't know exactly what we're getting. They've had a complete change in staff, but it's Florida, and Tennessee wants to beat Florida. So preseason Northwestern, February 13th. The exact date isn't confirmed. I'm trying to get games on Friday nights, and me and the commissioner are going to work that out. So if so, it'll be every Friday night at 5. If there's an update, it'll be updated through our account and through the TFL account, which is at TFL_CFB, I believe. So yeah, February 13th preseason, February 20th regular season. It will be the season is 12 weeks long, like college football. There will be a conference playoff and a conference championship and college football playoff. So I also wanted to thank you, Tim, for making this video. Appreciate it very much. And anything, I mean, there was nobody else. There was nobody else that I wanted to ask. I knew of what your work is amazing, and so I wanted to make sure it was incorporated. I appreciate you very much. If there's anything I could do, if there's anything you want to do, let me know. We'll make it happen. But I'm super appreciative. I appreciated that we could drop it here on the show. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Just to be clear, the first game, or first TFL matchup preseason kickoff, as of now, is scheduled for not next Thursday, but the Thursday after that on the 13th. Possible chance it moves to the 14th, but as of now, mark your calendars for the 13th. Go ahead and like and retweet that whenever that comes out. The day right after that is the 14th, obviously, Valentine's Day. Go spend some time with your lover, wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, whatever you got. I'm not judging here, whatever it is. It's Valentine's Day. Possibly more importantly, it is opening day for Tennessee Vols baseball.
That's right. It's a day for love. It's a day for love. It's a day for your love personally and the love of the national champion Tennessee baseball team. Amazing.
I've got to find a way to figure that out because
Same.
I'm gonna be quiet right now. I'm trying to work out something Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's tough with the ladies. It's tough with the ladies. You got to make them happy. So we might have to do some DVRing and get to it later if that's even still a thing. I don't know. I'll figure out a way.
More importantly than that. Not more importantly than that, same level, but coming up sooner, February 6th, this Thursday, Lady Vols softball kicks off against Nebraska. They just yesterday unveiled their Summit Blue uniforms they'll be wearing, and I'm excited to watch them again. They went back-to-back SEC championships. They're trying to three-peat. I'm going to be tuning
another program
keep up with them.
That is good.
Absolutely.
That Tennessee, that has the name Tennessee on their jerseys. Unbelievable.
It's honestly
good stuff.
Insane. Auburn has somehow managed to copyright the everything school motto when the only thing they're good at right now seems to be basketball.
Yep.
Tennessee, I don't care what anybody says, Tennessee is the everything school. Texas is close. The UTs are on top when it comes to everything school, but Tennessee is the everything school. Before you get out of here, you got anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to promote? You can shout out your socials once again since they haven't been on screen for this episode.
Yeah, no, just everything we talked about was fantastic. I can't thank you enough. I wanted to thank you one last time for having me. And anytime you need me, just give me a shout. I'll come. We'll come and hang out and have some fun. Absolutely. On X/Twitter at the VFL Show is my handle there. At TFL_CFB is the Twitter college football. Follow them, because if you follow them, you'll know when games come out. And it's a new account because there's a new commissioner. Same rules, new commissioner. Games are 5 hours too, guys. Okay, so if I send you guys, like a DM, or if I put it out there, 5 to 10. 5 to 10 is the game. So I appreciate the retweets afterwards and the likes afterwards, but it's really, really cool to get it within that 5 hours. I know that's a short amount of time for some, but that's kind of the game rules. So
5 hours. That's
make sure you follow that account. It is short. It is short, but really, if you carry it out longer, it makes it gives folks that have ill intentions of messing with games longer to do so.
That's fair.
Because bot votes take about an hour to show up on the commissioner's office's end, so it takes a little bit of time. So it was toyed with. It was thought of to toy with the amount of time that games were. They were thinking about maybe going to 3 hours, an hour, but that's not enough time because folks are doing stuff. So they kept it, at the 5 hour range that it is, the 5 hour term. In the future, will it be messed with? Maybe, but it is what it is right now. But yeah, so at TFL_CFB is the Twitter football league. Follow them. Follow me at the VFL show. And that's it. Let's have a good third season, guys. Let's go back to back to back. That's my message.
3P. What time roughly will they be releasing the games? Is there a time yet?
The schedule will probably come out, if not next week, the week after. We've got games will kick off officially in less than 2 weeks, so 13 days now. Actually, 12 days. So I would say next week it'll be solidified, and then if you follow me, I'll be able to get that information out, and I'll be moving that information out into the Twitterverse and into the Vol Nation Twitterverse, so they can know. But I'm probably this upcoming week, things will be solidified in terms of times for at least the first game or two, so we'll be able to get that information out.
Okay, yeah, I'm just hoping it's they're released in a 5 hour time frame where Twitter impressions are high, people are seeing it and getting it out there. I don't want to release that midnight.
I think it's going to be at a time when everyone will be able to see it at a sensible time. Our commissioner is fantastic. The last one was, this one is. So I have no doubt that the league is going to just flow the same, and so it's going to be a really, really fun time.
All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by today. Thank you for everything you've done to help me grow this Twitter account and to get this podcast going. I'll be happy to have you on again in the future.
Yeah, let me know, man. And I appreciate you doing everything you've done for me. It's Vols help Vols, humans help humans. You know what I mean? Anything you need, let me know. I'll do the same. I appreciate you thinking of me to be the first guest. And I mean, this is going to be a fantastic avenue for you and adventure, and it's going to go places, man. Just keep killing it. I appreciate you.
Well, I apologize for holding you so long. I told you you'd have an hour, and it's been about an hour and a half.
Fun. It was fun, man.
For those of you that don't know, the second segment of this podcast is not happening today. Some unforeseen circumstances. NBA Volboy was supposed to be my guest. He ended up getting a stomach bug today, and he will not make it, which is why this first hour was stretched out so long. Jason, thank you for stopping by, man.
Thank you, Tim. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thank you.
All right. So with that, this podcast episode, this first episode of the TriStar Network podcast is coming to an end. Before I go, I want to remind you guys once again, first off, thank you. Thank you for staying here. Thank you for listening us ramble on for almost 2 hours now. Good podcast episode. One more time before we go, I want to take a moment to tell y'all about my partnership with Epic Games. If you like gaming, specifically Fortnite, but they have other games, Rocket League, Fall Guys, specifically Fortnite though. If you like gaming and you want to help me out, no cost to you. Only thing you pay is what you were already going to pay anyway. You go into the Fortnite item shop or any other game that supports a creator code and type in TriStarTim. TriStarTim. No spaces, no hyphens, capitalization, doesn't matter. Just type in TriStarTim. Whether you're getting some V-Bucks from Fortnite or you're getting a new skin, you're buying the Battle Pass in Rocket League, whatever it is, type in TriStarTim in the support a creator code section. And that'll really help me out with, that'll support this podcast and all the other content I'm making, trying to get Tennessee sports related news out to you guys. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for helping me out, and I will see y'all